All right. So we know the biggest fight coming up is Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria. Don't get me wrong, 309, 310, looking pretty good. I mean, below Muhammad Shavkat, it is what it is. But I think the real money's in this 308 main event. All right, I think we all know this is what we're waiting for as our end of the year closer. Now when we talk about these two fighters, Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria, I ain't got no ill will towards either of them. All right, I like Justin Gaethje. I picked Max Holloway in that fight, and he won. I think we all know he won that. Oh, that's one of those knockouts that you just kind of sit on for the next couple of months, to be honest with you. Even now, when I see it when I'm scrolling through YouTube Shorts, oh my god, that shit hits like heroin. But we need to remember here, Max Holloway is human. All right, Max Holloway has gotten a lot more doubters over the years. A lot more people thinking, he's pillow fisted, his chin's slightly going, But the Max Holloway blessed gang, all right, stands tall. And listen, man, I ain't got no ill will towards Ilia Topuria, all right? He may have knocked out Volkanovski, and one of those... He may have knocked out the dad to everyone in the UFC in Volkanovski, but... And he did it in like a, yikes, time to retire fashion. That's not a knockout you can ever look back at and be like, oh, he'll be good in his next fight. It's bad. But outside of that, Ilia Topuria, I think I picked him. No, I didn't pick him that one. I did pick him that one. Yeah, I guess outside of that, I haven't picked Ilia Topuria in anything. But I have no ill will towards him. I don't dislike him. In fact, I think he's actually one of the better personalities, at least on the mic. He's very good on the mic considering that he doesn't really speak English, and that kind of leads to a lot of advantages in the mic game. Like Max Holloway, when he starts doing his slurred speech, and Ilia Topuria can just call out that slur and just be like, "Who the fuck is Joe?" Little moments like that. When Max Holloway's like, I'm gonna show you Saturday night. I'm gonna show you Saturday night. We'll see Saturday night, 25th October. And then Ilia's just like, who the fuck is Joe? Little moments like that I'm appreciating of Ilia. And I don't think he's terrible on the mic. Now, he does look a little, I don't know how to say it, but it looks like he's not confident in what he says. Like, he says a lot of things, but it almost looks like he's putting on the bravado. And you know what? I think it works for him. El Matador kind of fits that whole, bull seeing red thing. But I gotta go with Max the Blessed Holloway in the matchup. I just have to. I can't not do Max Holloway, alright? And I know the reasons why people are picking Ilia. And I know why, even the biggest content creators, Ilia, or MMA Guru, a few others I've heard, Jacob, We Want Picks, people like that, they're picking Ilia Topuria. And listen, I fully understand why. Not only is the striking heavy, not only is Ilia Topuria's striking very good, right? Very technical, but his grappling is also another really, really good thing. If we're talking just grappling matches, I think Ilia would probably smoke most of the division. Now, the problem is, Max Holloway has to make another weight cut, and he just put on muscle for 155. And we know Max doesn't have the best weight cuts. Alright? We all know that. And, on top of that, this fight's more or less under Ilia's terms. I believe they were planning on someone else, instead of Max Holloway. But Max Holloway stepped up to the bill, and we all thought Max Holloway was going to continue in lightweight, maybe make a lightweight pass to the belt, but they ended up giving him the Ilia Topuria shot. Me, personally, I would have liked to see a Volkanovski rematch only because I think that would have been his last fight, win or lose. Maybe not win, but if he lost it, I would have said to Volk, like, time to retire. And then I think featherweight, Diego Lopez is there. We've got a few up-and-comers in featherweight here. But I do think Max Holloway's deserved it. And I think this weight cut is going to be rough for Max, and he might actually look the worst he's ever looked. However, the reason why I'm picking Max Holloway, there's a few things we need to remember about Ilia Topuria's knockout here on Volkanovski. Volkanovski, one of the greats. We all agree on that. Easily top 2, maybe top 3, if you want to say, featherweights of all time. No question asked. One of the quickest pound-for-pound reigns, but one of the most deserved at the time, considering the era. Former rugby player turned to MMA fighter. Okay. However, we need to remember, in this matchup, Volkanovski was coming off a head kick loss to Islam Makhachev only 3 months before this fight. Now, I don't think it was 3 months on the dot. I think it was a little less than 3 months. Now, I think we all agree that when a fighter gets knocked out, you need to not return too quick. I think we all can agree Volkanovski returned way too quick after a knockout loss. Also, a head kick knockout loss. And also a head kick knockout loss on short notice that was up in a weight class. Alright? And we're talking like a big age gap here, I believe at the time, wasn't it a 10-year age gap? Something like that. Volk is getting up there in age, man. Maybe not. It was, I think it might have been 10. Or, sorry, 8 or 7. I can't remember. But we're looking at almost a decade here, age gap. Alright? And another important thing we need to note here. Volkanovski is almost the same height as Ilia. I think he's a little shorter than Ilia. But the problem with that is Max Holloway has fought many of people now around Ilia Topuria's stature. Now, they are smaller. If we take a look at the UFC rankings real quick. Ugh. Right below Muhammad's a champion. Oh, Jesus. Keep forgetting. But he's fought the who's who, Arnold Allen. He's fought the Brian Ortegas. He's fought the Yair Rodriguez. He's fought Volkanovski 3 times, And when we're looking at striking technique, we can agree that Ilia Topuria is good. I don't think, if we're talking purely technique and diversity, I think Max Holloway gets it. Now, Max Holloway isn't the most technical striker, no. But he's got more tools in his arsenal. Ilia focuses a lot on the hands. We've been seeing a lot of Max game plan change with every fighter. With Justin Gaethje, we had We had brutal spinning back kicks to not only the liver, but to the face. That was a game changer in that fight, I think we can all admit, like, he broke Justin Gaethje's nose in round 1, and that completely altered the way the fight was going to go, But not saying, like, he wouldn't have won anyways, but, Justin Gaethje's still a close fight with a lot of people. Knocking out Korean Zombie, it's Korean Zombie, is what it is. But we saw a lot more aggression from Max Holloway in that fight. He's pretty aggressive, but he knows how to counter, basically, is what that Korean Zombie fight was. In the Arnold Allen fight, we basically got to see him fight someone of the same level ish in terms of striking and ground game. Now, if we're talking overall, I'd say Arnold Allen probably beats him, because I think Arnold Allen's got a really good ground game. But I think Max Holloway proves that, like, a good ground game isn't the way to beat Max Holloway. And a lot of people are saying that Ilia Topuria's grappling is really good. I don't disagree, but here's the thing. I don't think Ilia is going to grapple at all with Max Holloway. Like, literally at all. I don't think he's going to even shoot for a takedown. He might go for a clinch. I don't think he's shooting a takedown. I don't think we're looking at Ilia Topuria by submission here. I think this is going to be on the feet, at least for 3, maybe even 4 rounds, unless we get desperate in round 5. But I will say, his only losses, other than Dustin Poirier up a weight division, which Dustin Poirier's, a hard fight for anyone, in the past 10 years, is to Volkanovski. But Volkanovski mixed up everything. He mixed up the takedowns. He mixed up the striking game plan, you know? And while it was hard for Max Holloway to really get a beat on Volkanovski, Ilia Topuria is not Volkanovski. And I think we can kind of look at both of them to see how, Max Holloway is going to fare here. You know, I think the way to beat the way to beat Max Holloway is to have someone like Volk, who's short, stocky, will explode in, leave, get in the range, do the tappy leg kicks like he was doing, which is another thing I'll get into, and then also, threaten the takedowns, threaten the grappling. I don't think Ilya is going to do that, I'm not saying he's not a threat on the ground, just saying I don't think he's going to do that in this fight. I think he's going to try to keep it on the feet. He'd be smart to take it to the ground. I don't think he's going to do it. The other thing we need to look at here, Volkanovski won round 1 against Ilia Topuria, alright? I think a lot of people are forgetting that. And I know, that's kind of the game plan with a lot of these early knockout fighters. But we've seen guys take shots very well from Ilia, We've seen a Josh Emmett. I mean, granted, he got dropped 5 times in one round. But Josh Emmett is around the same age, or no, he's much older than Volk now. He's got to be 2 or 3 years older than Volk now. But Josh Emmett was taking shots and able to be with it. You know what I mean? Volk, I just think it the knockout was 50% because it was way too early, and then the other 50% is that he just got clipped at the right time. And it really does suck because we all miss Volk. Volk was the man, but El Matador is here. But I don't think he's staying long, And another thing we got to look at here, Max Holloway is using a lot more kicks in his game plan. He's not just using his boxing anymore. This isn't Calvin Cade or Max Holloway, This is Max Holloway, who's not afraid to use elbows, who's not afraid to use spinning back kicks, who's not afraid to use low kicks, who's not afraid to hunch down and try to get to your level and really, wide-eyed Max, even though he's always been wide-eyed, you know what I mean. Max has improved his game plan a lot more than I think Ilya has over, let's say, the last 3 fights. Because if we look at the last 3 fights, close fight with Bryce Mitchell, not really, but basically, he fought a grappling test, but we've already seen the grappling test in Ryan Hall. And a little bit earlier on, but he did pass the grappling test. I don't think grappling is going to have anything to do with this fight. And then the Josh Emmett, he passed the dodge the overhand right test. And then with Volkanovski, he proved he could knock out somebody coming off a knockout loss and who's 36 years old in 3 months. You know what I mean? It's just, I get it. It's Volkanovski. You can't take the win away from him. I'm not trying to do that. But when I look at this, I kind of invalidate this more than I look at Max Holloway piecing up Arnold Allen 4-1. I thought that fight was pretty close, to be fair. But he did very well, and I think he knew which moments to really go for it, He knew how to win those rounds and get that edge on those rounds. Arnold Allen was just slightly behind almost every round. With Korean Zombie, this is kind of the same thing with the Josh Emmett. It's can you counter a fighter? Yes. Okay, congratulations, you get the knockout. And then with Justin Gaethje, we saw a really big, diverse bag of strikes. And I know it was kind of boring between round 2 and 4. Yeah, 2 and 4. Round 1 and 5 were obviously where the heat was. But I saw a lot more from Max Holloway in this Justin Gaethje fight than I think I've seen from Ilia Topuria in any of these fights. He only uses his hands, rarely uses his kicks, will shoot takedowns on people who are kind of with the grappling, so it's like a Bryce Mitchell. People who don't have good takedown defense, basically, he'll do the grappling with. But he is just a hands user. He doesn't kick that often. I know he kicks a little. I understand that. But if we're talking about a kicking battle, I don't think Ilia is going to win that on Max Holloway this time around. Maybe he'll get the low kick advantage, but he's not going to be getting these, spinning back kicks, or these fucking knees up the middle and shit. That's going to be all Max Holloway, for sure. Ilia is just going to be relying on his hands, and while his guard is tight, and I do rate his stance very highly, Volk was landing on Ilya very well in round 1. Not like he's wobbled, like he's rocked, but those are clean shots, you know? And if we're looking at Jerome Holloway, I'm thinking Jerome Holloway here, he's going to be able to do that same thing, not get knocked out, and do that for more rounds. With Max Holloway, you need to trust that he wins 3 out of 5 rounds. Now, he's done that in almost every single fight, aside from Volk, right? And now he's picking up knockouts, alright? Dangerous man we're looking at. But I do think the pressure is going to come from Ilia, and I think Max is probably going to be... This is what I think is going to happen. I think round 1 will be Max edged. I think round 2, 3, and 4 are going to be... I think round 2 and 3 are going to be Ilia's, because he's going to land better. He's going to have more pressure, and he's going to have probably, like, minute control time in terms of the clinch. In terms of strikes landed, I think we're still looking at Max winning, but Ilya's going to land more and have more of the reacting shots. And I think 4 and 5 is where we're going to see Ilia Topuria get smothered. Alright? I think it's going to be a clear 3-1 or 3-2 Max. And I think the blessed Holloway is going to get it done. I'm just thinking, I understand he knocked out Volk, but he was losing that fight. I know it was an early fight, right? And I totally understand that. But it was still like he's losing. You know what I mean? Like, Max has lost rounds to Justin Gaethje, but normally that's like setting up a lot of things. Max is doing a lot more setups now, you know? He's hitting to the body, spinning back kick to the liver, you know, breaking people's noses with that spinning back kick, you know? Setting up the counter shots. You know, and even in the Arnold Allen fight, he was pressured against the cage a lot against Arnold Allen. I think a lot of people forget Arnold Allen had the pressure advantage in this fight. So, while I do think Ilia can win, and I'm not opposed to Ilia winning, I'm leaning like a 55-45 Max. And Max Holloway by decision is my pick. You know? Could he get it done by knockout? Sure. Could Ilia get it done by knockout? I'm not saying it's without the realm of possibilities, but personally, I think you just can't go against Max. I think Max has proven to be reliable. I think he's got skin in the game. And I think he showcased the only ones that really give him problem are the Volkanovskis. The explosive, you know, pressure, volume fighters who mix in takedowns. Ilia Topuria might have the pressure and might have more power. But he just doesn't threat a takedown. And he gives rounds away in his fights, you know? I know Josh Emmett, that's a different scenario. But I think there's a good argument Bryce Mitchell won round 1. You know? Jai Herbert dropped Ilia Topuria. And listen, man, I want nothing more than to see Max Holloway knock out Ilia Topuria in almost the exact same way Volk did. No ill will towards Ilia Topuria. Just, gotta have some revenge in this sport, you know? But if Ilia gets it done, man, I don't think he's a bad champ. I think he's really, really good. I think his brother's terrible. But I think Ilia is really, really good, you know? And I think he could reign for a while. Now, if he beats Max, is he in the GOAT conversation? Is he featherweight top? Not even fucking close, alright? Let's get that straight. Nowhere fucking near, alright? You'd have to beat Max Holloway at least 4 times to get that status, alright? But yeah, if we're looking at experience here. We're looking at everything like this, you know? And the way I'm seeing this is a lot like, the Yusuf Zalal fight's a pretty good one. But the way I'm seeing this, Ilia Topuria has been fighting for nearly 10 years, which is kind of crazy to think about. But Max Holloway's been fighting for a long time. For 5 years longer, so 15 years. He lives inside that cage. I think he's going to feel right at home. I think featherweight is his weight division. And I think he's going to prove that he owns that weight division. Saturday night, UFC, October 20, I think it's 5th. I'm just going to say it's 5th October. Saturday, UFC, 308. Calling it Max Holloway by decision. 3-2, clear. Round 1, 4, and 5. That's my predictions. I think it's going to be close. I think Ilya is going to have moments. Do I think Ilya is going to put his lights away? I think the odds possible. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think this is Max's last rodeo. But with all that being said, just want to get my thoughts and opinions. Kind of a hot topic amongst MMA, the MMA community. So I wanted to get it out there just because this is my passion. I'm not going to be betting on this fight. I don't condone betting. I don't recommend you betting ruins lives. But that's my predictions. With all that being said, I want to thank you for watching. And if you made it all the way to the end, I hope you have a good day.